the archangel Jibreel Al-Amin alayhi salam, the highest of the angels, making a dua. And saying Ameen to those du'as is none other than the greatest of creation, the most beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose word is paramount to proof itself, whose word is paramount to seeing itself. He says something, it's as though it's already happened. He, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is saying Ameen to these du'as. And we know that one of these du'as is a curse upon the destruction of the one who sees Ramadan and who exits Ramadan but doesn't manage to be forgiven and get his salvation in this month. That is a dua by the archangel. And that is an Ameen by the one individual, a physical, verbal asking Allah to accept this dua of the archangel. From the one individual who, when he doesn't even say anything, he just looks to the sky when he leaves Makkah al-Mukarramah. When he leaves Makkah al-Mukarramah, those people who have read the seerah will know that prior to the Qibla that we face towards Makkah al-Mukarramah, towards the Ka'batullah, the Qibla that our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba ridwanullah ajma'in used to follow was Masjid al-Aqsa. Was Masjid al-Aqsa in Palestine. And at this moment, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is leaving Makkah, he has a pain in his heart because when he is in Makkah, out of the love for the house that was built by his grandfather Ibrahim alayhi salam, he will pray in such a position where he is facing both Masjid al-Aqsa and the Kaaba. But now he is going towards Medina, and going towards Medina, the only way he can face the Qibla is by facing his back towards the Kaaba. And this pains him. And he doesn't say a single word. He just looks towards the sky. He just looks towards the sky. And the moment he looks, this look of his beloved, this silent look, without any words saying anything, just the look from, and the pain in the heart of his beloved is so powerful that Allah will reveal the ayat, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ, we've seen your face turn towards the sky. From this moment onwards, every person from now till eternity, till the day of Qiyamah, will not face Masjid al-Aqsa, but they will turn, the whole world will turn and face towards Makkah because of this one look toward the sky. When that being says Ameen to the dua, verbally, not just looking, but verbally says Ameen for the acceptance of the dua of the archangel, to curse and for upon the destruction of the one who doesn't make the most of this month, it makes your hair raise to think, Astaghfirullah, what have we done in the past Ramadans? But the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us one more chance, and who knows, maybe it is our last chance. Time will only tell us, families will tell us, mothers will tell us, husbands will tell us, children will tell us, friends will tell us of those people who would never ever imagine that this would be their last Ramadan. But it was. We have no idea, we have no clue, no matter how much wishful thinking we have, this could be our last. But whether it is or not, we should certainly treat it like our last. Because that's the only way we will be able to do what those people want, who haven't witnessed this Ramadan, who want to come back and make that one last Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of all of those people, Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen, accept us to make the most of this month and accept from us in this beautiful month. That's what we want ideally in this beautiful month. In this month, we say that the first 10 days are the 10 days of mercy. But the fact that we have seen the first day, and we know that we will be able to witness a part of Ramadan, or at least die in Ramadan if we can't see the rest of it, is a ni'mah, is a mercy, is a rahmah in itself. And inshallah we would like to discuss, first and foremost, as a reminder to myself, and a reminder to all of our beautiful brothers and sisters listening, of how to make the most of this beautiful month. And what does it mean when we say these first 10 days or the 10 days of rahmah? Inshallah ta'ala, with the permission and will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will discuss in each of the asharas, each of the first, the 10 periods that we have, the first, the second and the last, regarding in detail the specialities of those 10 days and what we can do to maximize those 10 days. But beginning up this first 10 days of mercy, let's understand what it means, because the last 10 days are very easy. They are distinct almost in their meaning, that it is to free yourself from Jahannam. But in reality, when you look at all three, they seem to be one and the same thing. Because when we say the mercy of Allah, indeed everything happens by His mercy. We will only enter Jannah by His mercy. If we enter Jannah, we will be freed from Jahannam only by His mercy. If we enter Jannah and we are free from Jahannam, and then we will receive His forgiveness, which is also by His mercy. So when we say we have 10 days of mercy, we have 10 days of forgiveness, and we have 10 days of freedom from the fire, we think, Aren't all these three things the same? Don't they sound the same? This is why it is important for us to understand each one in its own right, because of how beautiful and how important a concept it is. And the fact that Allah has given us 10 days just to specially ask. It doesn't mean that He won't give the others in these 10 days. He will. But on these 10 days, He's specially going to be giving a double, triple reward and a double, triple speciality towards this one quality. And then towards the next, and then towards the next. When we look at the forgiveness and we look at the mercy, we think of one as one and the same thing. But that's because we don't really understand what rahmah means. Because we use the word mercy. And mercy is a very, very shallow term. Because it is in reality only one of the tenets of the word rahmah. Whilst the word rahmah can be listed as 100 more things. This rahmah, this attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His rahmah, is so powerful. It's so magnanimous and it's so important that from every one of His names, from Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim al-Malik al-Qudus al-Salam al-Mu'min al-Muhaymin al-Aziz al-Jabbar al-Mutakabbir al-Khaliq al-Bari al-Musawwir al-Ghaffar al-Qahhar al-Wahhab al-Razzaq al-Fattah al-Alim al-Qabid al-Basit al-Khafid al-Rafi al-Mu'izz al-Mudhill al-Sami' al-Basir al-Hakam al-Adl al-Latif al-Khabir al-Halim al-Azim al-Ghafur al-Shakur al-Ali al-Kabir al-Hafidh al-Muqid al-Hasib al-Jalil al-Karim al-Raqib al-Mujib al-Wa'is al-Hakim al-Wadid al-Mujid al-Ba'id al-Shahid al-Haqq al-Waqil al-Qabil al-Matin al-Wali al-Hamid al-Muhsin al-Mawd al-Mu'id al-Muhyi al-Mumit al-Hayy al-Qayyum al-Wajid al-Majid واحد الأحد الصمد القادر المقتدر المقدم المقيت الآخر أول والآخر الظاهر الباطن الولي المتعالي البر والتواب المنتقم العفو الرؤوف المالك الملك ذو الجلال والإكرام والمقسم الجامع الغني المغني المانع الضار النافع النور الهادي البديع الباكر الوارث الرشيد الصبور. From every one of these 99 names, He chose only 2 to be the introduction for all of humanity to the day of judgment to who He is. When each person asks, the person who grows up in the jungle not knowing who Allah is, the one who spends his life in a grown-up city having learned every religion and every concept of knowledge, studied the degree, studied everything, and yet chose to deny Him. When he finally comes to open his final kalam, his final word, his Quran al-Kareem, and realize who is Allah, the first words that Allah chooses for him to know is forget everything else. Forget my power, forget my majesty, forget my qudra, forget every single thing. Forget even the fact that I created you. Just know that I am Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. I am the most merciful, and I am the most gracious. I am the one who holds the absolute, unlimited, infinite, extreme quality of Rahmah. Rahman and Rahim, both coming from the same word, Rahmah, from the same two letters. If Allah wanted, He could have given at least 1 second, at least the second one could have been something else. That I am the most merciful who created you. I am the most merciful who controls you, who nurtures you. Nothing, just Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Both names were just to show how His mercy is explosive. That's who He is. And that's why the blessed month of Ramadan, the month of new beginnings, the month of the ultimate beginning, the month of the Quran, the month where Islam started, the month where the final Nabuwah of the greatest Prophet ﷺ started, the month where Islam itself started, will start with the first 10 days of mercy. With this same sifa, this same attribute. And to understand just a quick glimpse of how complex this sifa of rahmah is, we should know one thing. That when a mother gives birth to a child, the womb that we call the womb, where the child will stay for its first inception for 9 months, that womb is the one place where it receives everything it needs. Its food, its blood, its sustenance, its air, its oxygen, its water, its protection, its love, its warmth, its carrying, its movement from one place to another, its needs, its medicine, every single thing that it needs, its spiritual guidance, the Quran that it needs to read, the Quran that it needs to hear, the dhikr of Allah that it needs to hear, every single thing it receives within the protection of this womb that holds it close from all of the evils that surrounds it outside. Every single ill thing it is protected by this womb, and this womb will give up its own blood and its own supplies just to protect at any cost what is inside this womb. And subhanAllah, the word used for this womb is Ar-Rahim. And that's one of the best ways to understand what Rahmah really is. Everything that we receive is by the Rahmah of Allah, which is why the Jannah itself will only be received by the Rahmah of Allah. Even when our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say to Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha that only by the Rahmah of Allah will anyone enter Jannah, not even by their deeds, not even by their prophethood. That's when Hazrat Aisha will ask, even you, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he will say, even me, I will only be entered in Jannah by the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what these first 10 days entail. And look at the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We as human beings, we can have the best of relationship with people. We can love them. We can cherish them. We can make them our brothers, our sisters. We can make a stranger into someone that becomes the pinnacle of our life. Someone who we die for. But then eventually it can come a day where we won't even want to see their face anymore. We can't tolerate them anymore. We don't want to give them anything anymore. We don't want to give them our life. We don't want to even give a request to them anymore. Because of things that they kept doing. Things which we never expected them to do. We never expected them to hurt us so many times. To backstab us so many times. To go against us so many times. But eventually we have a threshold where we give up. And we'll say, we don't even want to see your face anymore. I don't even want to know your name anymore. The best of friends can end up, husband and wife can end up, mother and son can end up in this scenario. But then you have the Lord of the worlds, who knows exactly how many times, in what date, in what quantity, in what capacity you will disobey him and earn his anger and displease him and do exactly that which he hates. And yet, he will never ever give up on you. He will never ever turn away from you. He will never ever stop giving you. That's rahmah. He will never ever stop giving you opportunities to make up for what you've just done. He will never stop feeding you. He will never stop clothing you. Knowing that tomorrow I might do something radically different to what I should be doing. Next week or in the next hour, I could be doing something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would hate. Allah protect us all. But yet, at this moment, He's not going to stop giving me what I should do, what I need, or what I want. He's not going to take away the opportunity for me to lift my hands and ask Him that, Ya Allah, O Creator, that I have been displeasing, and I don't even know that I'm about to displease You in the next hour. I need this, I want this, can You give it to me? And He will still listen. The beautiful verses that come, Ujibu da'wat ad-da'i idha da'an, that I respond immediately to the caller when he calls. Whoever the caller is, whether it's a Muslim or non-Muslim, whether it's a human or an animal, whether it's a plant, when it calls to me, its creator, I will respond to the caller whenever he calls, immediately. Even though I know that in the next few minutes he could be displeasing me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will still respond to us. That's His rahmah. And you know what, those ayat come right before the ayat of fasting come. It's a sign for us. Every verse is placed in absolute perfection. That this is a time of all times to call out for us. He gave us the blessed month of Rajab. We probably didn't do anything, unfortunately, or not enough. He gave us the blessed month of Sha'ban, filled with blessings and gifts in itself, in its own right, enough to hold its own. Yet, we didn't do anything, or we didn't do enough. And then He gave us Ramadan in third succession. First chance went, second chance went, but now He's still going to give us a third chance. And in those chances, that big chance, you're going to have chances upon chances upon chances because of His rahmah. And He's going to give you these 10 days to keep calling out, saying, Allahumma arhamni ya arhamar rahimeen. That, oh Allah, have mercy upon me, and You are the most merciful of those who show mercy. Ya arhamar rahimeen. I call You Arham, the most merciful, the most rahmah giving of Rahimeen, those who show rahmah. More than a mother, more than anyone else, I ask You to give me and shower me Your rahmah, because that is the only thing that is going to give me everything that I need, that is going to give me that womb of protection from all of the ills of the world, be they spiritual, physical, emotional, any fitna that's going to affect me. This womb, this wall of rahmah is going to protect me. Your love is going to protect me, and You're going to give me everything at any cost to protect me, give me what I want and what I need. Even though I'm going to be displeasing You, even though I'm going to be going against You, that rahmah is what's going to be my success and enter me into Jannah. I want that rahmah from You, Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. That's what Allah's rahmah is. It's that rahmah that never ever gives up to us. And it's an order for us, first and foremost, in these 10 days. Before we even ask, there may be some people who will feel that they have gone beyond the barrier of asking for this rahmah, or they may feel ashamed to ask for this rahmah. They may think that yes, Allah is most merciful, Allah is the most Rahman al-Rahim, but who am I to go in front of Allah? I know what I've done up till the last minute ago, or I know what I've done at the last night before Ramadan, or I know what I was doing when the Ramadan was commencing, when the gates of Jannah was being opened, when the devils were being chained, I know how I was displeasing my Allah. And I know how I've lived 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of my life, chasing everything else other than Allah, and doing everything in brilliance except what I should be doing in brilliance. I was doing that which Allah hates in brilliance, but I was never doing even one thing that Allah loved in brilliance, or even in the best way I could, or even in just a way that it wasn't even acceptable. I didn't even try. So I can't possibly have the audacity to stand in front of Allah after everything that I've done and say, you know what, just because I heard how merciful you are, give me your mercy. But guess what? The first thing before we even get to that point, the first thing we need to realize is that Allah tells us Himself in the Quran regarding those same people, regarding me and you, people who we might think we are beyond that limit of mercy, that, oh my slaves, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا, that those people who have completely transgressed against themselves, who have done the sins that they shouldn't be, here's an order for you before anything else. Even before you ask forgiveness, the first order is going to give you, لَا تَقْنَةُ مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Don't ever despair from my mercy, from the mercy of Allah, from the rahmah of Allah, from that ultimate love, protection, care, concern. Don't ever go against that. Don't ever lose hope in that. Don't ever think you're beyond that. Because no matter what you do, it's never ever going to come close to 1% of the ocean of the rahmah of Allah. Because in a hadith of Bukhari Sharif, our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to tell us that the mercy of Allah is going to be split up into 99 to 100 parts. And from that, only one part is going to be given to the world, to the creation. From that one part, every mercy that is shown by a mother, every time a mother is ready to give her life for her child, every tear that is shed out of rahmah, every person who donates in Ramadan and has been since the day of Qiyamah, since the day Adam a.s. set foot on this earth till the day of Qiyamah, every person who has ever helped an animal, a creature, a plant, a brother, a family member, any person, every person who's forgiven, every person who's fed, every person who's even looked at someone and felt sorry, and above all of that, the rahmatul lil alameen, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, showering his mercy upon earth, all the mercy that is on earth in existence. There's only one part out of the 99 remaining parts that stay with Allah. So how can you possibly think that you could ever go beyond the limits of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's the rahmah that we should never ever despair from. So it doesn't matter who you are. This is the moment. This is the opportunity. Don't do what shaitan did. Because he knew even Allah wouldn't turn away from his rahmah. But he chose to turn away and lose hope in that rahmah. He chose to despair and be too arrogant to ask for that rahmah. Don't be like him. Because that's what he wants. Do what Allah is ordering you to do. In the way He orders you to stay away from haram, He is ordering you not to stay away from His mercy. Go and ask for His mercy. In these 10 days, go ask for His mercy. Keep reciting the dua. Allahumma arhamni ya arhamar rahimin. Oh Allah, give me your rahmah. And you are the most giving of rahmah from all of those who show rahmah. These du'as, if you would like a copy of these du'as, simply send a message to our Al-Imdaad radio phone. And inshallah, daily in Ramadan, whatever reminders we have, as well as these du'as, you will be sent. Keep reciting this dua. And if you can't remember the dua, just ask Allah from your heart. The words don't matter. Sometimes the heart is all you need. You don't even need the words. We saw how our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam just looks to the sky. But that sincere look was enough for Allah. Just look towards the most merciful, towards the Rahman Rahim. Let's ask for His mercy. In whatever language you can, just ask for it. Because in the very same verse that He tells you not to despair of His mercy, look how He starts off. For us, the friend who constantly goes against us, constantly backstabs us, constantly hurts us, we don't call him a friend. We don't call him my friend, my brother, my sister. We say you, or we say you backstabber, you enemy. We separate that person from us. But the slave who asrafu, he's done israf, extreme extravagance, he's basically broken all bounds and really transgressed in turning against Allah. And Allah knows even further what he's still going to do. That person, how does Allah address him? Qul ya ibadi, oh my slaves, I've never given up on you. You're still my slaves. Ibadi, you're my slaves. Regardless of what you've done, you're my slaves. And I'm never going to give up on you. I'm never going to call you anything other than my slaves. That's a rahmah of Allah. Look at the person who you see every day, who doesn't even call upon Allah, who doesn't even believe in Allah, who doesn't even know Allah, who doesn't even try to know Allah, who or maybe knows Allah but denies Allah and says there is no Allah. I came here on my own. I deny the Creator who gives me my sustenance. Or the one who is displeasing Him, and the one who is openly in arrogance, challenging Allah to go against Him, and to hurt those, and to stand in the way of those who are trying to obey Him. Look at him, and look at his sustenance. Look at his food. Look at his drink. Look at his clothing. Look at his needs and how they are fulfilled. By who? By the same one who he denies. By that Allah who we are despairing from. By that Allah who he is being arrogant against. Who is sustaining him? That same Allah. That same Creator. That's the rahmah of Allah. He doesn't even give up on those people who he knows are destined for destruction. He gives them the ability to live and see the fruits of their toil, rather than just putting them in where they would end up in anyway. That's His rahmah. The fact that He gave us life, knowing what we will be doing, when we could have just been given Jannah or Jahannam based on whatever we would have done in our life. He knows exactly what He has written for us to do, yet He allows us to live this life as a rahmah. He still gives us that opportunity. He doesn't need to let us live this life, because for Him, He knows exactly what's going to happen. It doesn't make any difference for Him whether it's happened or not. On the day of Qiyamah when it's happened, and on the day of inception when it hadn't happened. He knows, because He's the one allowing it to happen. He knows exactly how it's going to come into play. Yet He gives us out of His rahmah the opportunity to see our own lives. So on that day, we're not going to argue with Him. We know exactly what we did. But look at the mercy. Even on that day, we will read the hadith of those people who are destined for the hellfire. And how even on that day, His mercy won't stop. He will still be giving His mercy. He will still be giving His mercy. But unfortunately, there are those people who, even though Allah orders them not to despair of their mercy, He will cut them off of their mercy. He will cut them off of His mercy. After everything we've just discussed, you can wonder, when Allah orders you, just the way He orders you not to do haram, He orders you. Just the way He tells you not to eat the meat of the khinzir, the meat of the swine, the meat of the pig, not to eat the haram meats or alcohol. In the same way He tells you not to stay away from His mercy. How can that same Rahman al-Rahim cut someone off of His mercy? But it is possible. And you know why? Because of His rahmah. He will cut off someone of rahmah because of His rahmah. Because if you cut another person of rahmah, He will cut you off of rahmah. Because He hates it when anyone isn't shown rahmah. Anyone of His creation. Anyone in His creation, if mercy is cut off them, He hates it. He absolutely hates it. So much so that He will give you what you deserve. He will cut you off rahmah. Out of His rahmah for that creation. And that can be someone who is even disobeying Allah and giving His anger. Look at Suhail ibn Amr, before he becomes Muslim. He is the one who is the khatib against the Prophet ﷺ. He is the one who at that moment has used his tongue to speak the most against Islam. The most against our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And yet, when he is captive, Umar radiallahu anh, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anh asked our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ for the permission to simply pull out, Da'ni anzi thaniyatay, let me pull out his front two teeth, just the front two teeth, so he can never ever speak out against you or against Allah. The person who has been given the title of the Khatib of Makkah, the one who is like the Imam standing up designated for the masjid, even though people will come in and out to give guest khutbahs, the one who is designated will give the most towards that masjid. The one who has given the most hate speech against the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has defied the most, who has even chained his own child for becoming Muslim. That person, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anh, is asking for the permission just to pull out his front two teeth. And what is our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying? No, you can't. Why? Because Umathirullahu bi, Allah will do the same like that to me on the Day of Judgment. To His beloved Habib Mustafa, who can look towards the sky and Allah will change the whole world's direction for my look. But He will do the same to me if I cut him off of mercy. That's how much Allah hates it when He cut anyone off of mercy. Who are we to say this person is my enemy, when the Prophet ﷺ is showing you that you can't even cut off mercy towards the enemy of Allah, towards a person who becomes an enemy of Allah. And look what that rahmah gets you. Never give up on people. Never give up on the slaves and creation of Allah. That same Suhail ibn Amr who did the most against the Rasul ﷺ by his speech, when it comes to the day when the Prophet ﷺ passes away, on that painful day when the Prophet ﷺ leaves us, when people out of love will go so crazy that they will leave Islam in the hundreds and the thousands, one person will be strong enough in Makkah to stand up and use that same tongue to call them all back towards the Rasul ﷺ. That same Suhail ibn Amr, as a result of that rahmah, that mercy, never giving up on him. That's the mercy that we have. That's why our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tells us in Bukhari Sharif that Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman, that the most merciful will give mercy. The Rahimun, those who show mercy, show rahmah, they will be the ones upon whom the rahmah of Allah, the rahmah of Ar-Rahman will come upon. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he will then order you, irhamu, show your mercy to those on earth, and the one who is man fi sama will have mercy on you. If you want rahmah, the main thing is don't stop giving rahmah to anyone, no matter how much they've hurt you. Don't stop giving rahmah. Show them that rahmah, because that's what's going to get you Allah's rahmah. That's what's going to give you the guarantee of Allah's rahmah. And that rahmah is everything that you need comes from that rahmah. It comes from that rahmah. So keep asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that rahmah. Keep asking Allah for that one rahmah. Even if you don't remember the dua, Allahumma arhamni ya arhamar rahimin. Even if you don't remember that, just ask from your heart. In any words you know, or even without words, just ask Allah. How without words? Show rahmah. Show rahmah to any being you can, especially those who you think you hate or you are upset with. Show them rahmah. Force yourself to do that which you absolutely can't and give them rahmah. Because in the way that you absolutely broken all bounds and you're trying to make it impossible for Allah to forgive you and show you rahmah, that person who you think is made it impossible for you to show rahmah, show him your rahmah. Because in that way you're guaranteeing that Allah will give you His rahmah. And in these blessed days, as well as attaining the rahmah of Allah by asking for it, show Him that you want it and make the most of it. We said we would discuss regarding the 10 days of mercy, and we will also discuss how to make the most of Ramadan. In each of the 10 days we will discuss the speciality of making the most of those 10 days, how we have discussed the first 10 days. But throughout the month of Ramadan, increase in your ibadah, we all know that. But do it in a way that you can constantly do it throughout the whole of Ramadan. Don't burn yourself out. That's the first thing. Because our beloved Prophet Muhammad has reported or said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ مَنْ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ, that the most beloved acts to Allah are those that are done constantly, consistently. وَإِنْ قَلَّ, even if they are little. They might be small. You might read 10 hours of Quran one day, but then nothing in the rest of Ramadan. Or you might just read one ayah with all your heart, but you do that every single day. That is more beloved to Allah. Keep that consistency. It's not quantity, it's quality that we know in Islam. That's what Allah wants, the ultimate mercy. Keep trying every single day. And when it comes to your ibadah, find something that you absolutely enjoy so much that you wish that your whole day will be in that. Because our lives have become in a state where we have very less time to do what we should be doing. We have work, we have college, we have exams, we have commitments. Make it in a way where your whole day is just ibadah. And you ask how? How can it be that my whole day is just ibadah? Because when you go to work right now, you say, it's Ramadan, I wish I could read more Quran, I wish I could do more dhikr and more ibadah, but I have to go to work, and I wish I could, from my busy schedule, I could make time for ibadah. Because all day I'm doing other things, and I want to make time so that I can leave my life to do ibadah. Switch it the other way around. Find that ibadah that you love so much that you want to do it all day, and you love it so much when you engross in that ibadah that you have to leave the ibadah to go back to your life. So it feels the opposite. When you're doing that ibadah, when you're at work, you wish you could be doing that ibadah still, because you love it so much. You wish you could be there. In that way, Allah will make your whole day as though you were doing that ibadah. Find that one thing that you love, and try and maximize everything. In Islam, Allah has given us such a beautiful cheat sheet. We can, just by intention, turn anything which is a normal act, a act of our life, a sedimentary act of our life, and turn it into ibadah. How? One example. You can be eating your iftar meal, and knowing that by breaking your iftar, you are following the sunnah of our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do it according to the sunnah. When the adhan goes, first take the dates. Take a date and break your fast first with a date. Then drink water, preferably zamzam. Whilst doing that, if you want to add another sunnah, break the date and have it, take the stone out and have it with a cucumber, because that's how our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam have it. And this will also give you a health benefit in this blessed month. Because whilst the dates will have a heating effect, the cucumber will will balance it out and give you a cooling effect. So you can have more dates. If you can't, and you can have 7 dates, as the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would do many times. And you can drink more of the Zamzam water. And after you've broken your fast, again the rahmah of Allah, then pray the dua. Don't pray the dua first. That's how much Allah loves you. He wants you to break your fast first, as is the sunnah. Then pray the dua. By this, you made an act of eating. You think, well, I'm being selfish, I'm eating first. And I know a lot of us do. Me personally, before I knew this, I would probably pray the dua first few days. Then after the 4th day, I'd be breaking my fast first. And probably after Maghrib, remember that I was supposed to pray the dua. But do this knowing that Allah loves you. It is a sunnah. Turn what usually you would be doing out of your nafs or out of your hunger, turn it into ibadah. Do it because the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam ate the khajur first, the zamzam first, and then pray the dua. Then go pray your salah, come back. And when you're eating, you could be eating iftar now. And yes, the whole point of Ramadan is that we eat less. Not that we don't eat for so many hours and then we eat and make up for it in the rest of many hours. It's the point of at iftar, we eat just enough to keep us going till suhoor. We in suhoor just enough to keep us going to the next iftar. So that in this month, we can feel what the poor people feel. And by giving up the basic necessity that Allah has given us to survive, if we can give that up, then we know we can give any of our desires up. Because we don't live for those desires. Food is something that we live, it sustains us. And you can stay against that, but what are these carnal desires? What is this cigarette, this smoking, or these sins that we do? It's nothing. I can give up the thing which sustains me. Why can't I give you up? That's the blessing. But if you are iftar and if you find yourself eating more, make that into ibadah. How? Take a bit of vinegar and put a bit of vinegar, even if it's just one drop in the plate. And guess what? From the moment you're eating till the moment you stand up, there are angels who are asking forgiveness for you. And that act becomes an act of ibadah. Because our Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to put vinegar on his food. And he said in his own words, نِعْمَ الْإِدَامَ الْخُلْ, how beautiful is as a condiment is vinegar. And he's the same Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam who told us in the hadith that whilst you are eating, the angels are asking mercy for you, forgiveness for you. Whilst you're eating, take one drop and put it. And see how that whole act becomes ibadah. Maximize your time in ibadah. Go to sleep if you're so tired and you've got to go work. Go to sleep in a way where you're just praying anything and you'll fall asleep. And you maximize that time. And with your dhikr, try to say the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can. But if you can't at least give yourself a base target, the bare minimum that we should be doing, that our teachers tell us, the bare minimum is 300 times in a day, at least the bare minimum. 300 times astaghfirullah. Ask forgiveness for Allah 300 times minimum. 300 times la ilaha illallah. 300 times minimum. And 300 times Durood Sharif, salawat on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you'll be thinking, how can we do this 300 times? It's not going to be possible. As we just said, try and keep it consistent. How can we do it 300 times a day? It's going to take you, if you do it 300 times in one go, it might take some people 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes in one go. And you know that in Ramadan, it's very difficult to find that one solid hour. Because you might want to, in that time you get, you might want to read the Quran. You might have to rush to work in the morning. How will you do this? Using the simple formula, you can make this possible. And this is something not just, you make the intention that you start it in Ramadan and continue it throughout. Make it a gift that Allah gives you in Ramadan through His rahmah that will stay with you till the day of Qiyamah. Do it in this formula, inshallah ta'ala. When you wake up in the morning, recite the 100 times astaghfirullah. It's not going to take you more than 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. Sometimes you can do it in 2 minutes or a minute. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. And with your heart, astaghfirullah. I ask you for forgiveness, Allah. Say it 100 times. It's not going to take you more than 2 to 3 minutes. Then close your eyes. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. There is no God, there is nothing other than Allah. 100 times. Max 2 to 3 minutes. And then recite whichever durood comes in your heart. Whichever durood. Whether it's durood Ibrahim or just even Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And then Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi for the remainder of 99 times. Again 2 to 3 minutes. Within 5 minutes you've just done 100 of each. Thereafter, after every salah, and in Ramadan, alhamdulillah, we all pray our 5 salah. So we have no excuse. After each of the salah, simply 20 times. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. 20 times, that's it. 20 times la ilaha illallah. 20 times Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma salli alayhi. Won't even take you more than 2 minutes to do all of it combined. But you just read 20 times Astaghfirullah, 20 times La ilaha illallah, and 20 times the remainder of Muhammad Rasulullah and Durood Sharif upon the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm not very good at maths, but if you just do 5 times 20, that's another 100. So you just spend 2 or 3 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes after each salah, and you've added those 20 up after each, you've done 100 there. You've done 100 in the morning, that only took you 5 or 6 minutes. And 100 in the evening before you go to sleep after suhoor, 5 6 minutes, just do 100 each. And voila, in total you've done 300. You've done the bare minimum that you should be doing. And what's the beauty of each of these? When you say Astaghfirullah, Allah purifies you of every single thing. It elevates your status. Before we do a sin, when we are created, we are ma'soom. We're just a single, we're on a standard plate. We've not excelled to please Allah, we've not elevated our status, neither have we gone down, neither have we lowered our status. But when we sin, we go lower and lower. We make ourselves go lower in the degrees. But then the moment you keep saying Astaghfirullah and you sincerely ask Allah for His forgiveness, the first thing Allah does, He doesn't just tell the angel to wipe it out, to cross it out, like an examiner would. Wrong answer, cross it out. Allah tells the angel, wipe it out. It never happened. This is from the one who never forgets. The all-knowing, He says, wipe it out. It never happened. That's the first thing. But the second thing, He elevates your status. So now He undoes the degrees that you lowered yourself, He undoes them. But that's not all. He undoes them to the point that you get back to the standard plane. But He doesn't stop there. That's by making istighfar. If Allah's wiped away your sins, you should go back to zero, plain midfield. But what happens? Allah elevates your status to that of His pious slaves. So you go from down below to up top, just from saying astaghfar. And why do we say it so many times? Because it's reported in the hadith that our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the purest of souls, purified his soul over 70 to 100 times a day with istighfar. So get that 300 minimum in every day. That's the blessing of istighfar. You're purifying everything away. And the more you purify, the more you'll feel your ibadah in Ramadan. Your salah, all the barriers of sin that are around your heart, they are starting to be washed away. So you can feel that salah even better. You can feel that ibadah even more. You can feel that love even more. And then thereafter, La ilaha illallah. Why? Because our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, Jaddidu imanukum bi la ilaha illallah. Revive, resuscitate, renew your iman with La ilaha illallah. Keep reciting it. In those 300 times, you're washing away all of the filth, the thick layers of sat that's around your heart. You're purifying them, you're cleaning them. But when you purify that heart, when you read the Quran, when you're in Tarawih, you won't be yawning. You'll be feeling that power even if you don't know what it means. You'll be feeling those tears even if you don't know what it means. You'll be more susceptible towards the power of the Quran, towards the power of ibadah, towards the rahmah of Allah. Your du'as will become more accepted. And if that wasn't not enough, we have a tradition, we have a hadith, a riwayah that tells us that there will be a person on the day of Qiyamah who will be going towards Jahannam, and on his way back he will be in front of Allah. And remember, being in front of Allah is something that Isa alayhi salam, according to Imam Ghazali, the Prophet Isa alayhi salam will only be asked one thing when he is in front of Allah. That your people claim that you claim to be Allah. Did you or not? But this innocent being will sweat to the point that there will be no more liquid left in his body, because of the power of being in front of his Allah. When we need salah, we have the opportunity to stand in front of Him. How you stand in front of Him then is how you'll stand in front of Him. If you feel that power in this world, you'll be more prepared then. But if you've never felt what it's like to stand in front of Allah, with all the salah that you prayed, what's going to happen on that day? So to prepare yourself for that, this being in this riwayah is going to be standing in front of Allah, petrified. And yet he knows he is destined for destruction, he is going to Jahannam. And he hasn't done a single good thing in his life. But look how Allah forgives him. He said, one day, whilst you were sleeping, you couldn't fall asleep. You were tossing and turning. And in that state of tiredness, wanting to fall asleep, you said, Allah, Allah, Allah. And you fell asleep in that state. For that one thing which you even forgot about, I'm forgiving you. I'm taking you out of Jahannam and putting you into Jannah. Because of that Allah that you said that purified your heart. That's the power of La ilaha illallah. Third, Durood Sharif. Upon our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I know the time is of the essence. And where can you even start with Durood Sharif? We inshallah will have a show dedicated just to the power of Durood Sharif. But if I can, in this short time, mention one thing to you that touches me, and I hope that it touches you, is that on the day of Qiyamah, look at the power of Durood. On the day of Qiyamah, Adam alayhi salam will be seen in this chaos when people will be running and screaming while the angels drag them to Jahannam, and people will be sweating in front of Allah, people will be scorching under the sun, people will be falling off the mizan, will be petrified at the scales as they are receiving their books, will be hesitant before even passing or will be coming close to the mizan because they are worried about where the outcome will be. In that chaos, people screaming and crying for help, going from prophet to prophet and not receiving help from anyone. In that state, Adam a.s. will see a ummati of the Rasul who will be being dragged to Jahannam. And he will call the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Ya Abul Qasim, come. O father of Qasim, come here. Which is one of the names of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Come here, one of your ummatis is about to be in trouble. And the Prophet from helping one to the other will come at lightning speed to see this slave. And he will ask the angels to let go of him. Say, let go of him. He is my slave, my ummati. Where are you taking him? And the angels, they are people, La ya'sun Allah ma'amarahum. They never ever disobey Allah. وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا تَأْمَرُونَ. And they do exactly as in almost like robotic creatures, they will do exactly as Allah commands them. They can't flinch an inch. Now they are being told by the Rasul to do something which is against what Allah has told them to do. So they are saying Allah has commanded us. So they just look towards Allah, and Allah says, whatever my Rasul says, do it. Giving permission to the angels to go. Even if Allah tells them one thing, if the Rasul says it, they can do that. So now upon the instruction of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the angels will let go of this person. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will take him back, retrace his steps to find out why is he being taken to Jahannam, so he can help him. They'll go back to the scales, and the angel will say, look, his scale of sin is completely filled. But we don't even have one thing to put on his good deeds. We've searched and searched, and there isn't even a dot that we can put on there that he did in his life. So how can we possibly think of putting him into Jannah? And at this moment, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say, okay. He will take a piece of paper that according to as it comes in the riwayah, will be the size of the first part of your fingertip, of your index finger, of your kalima finger, just the fingertip, a piece of paper just that size, and he will put it on the scale in opposition to a scale filled with a lifelong of sins. And suddenly the scales will go upside down. The scale of deeds will outweigh all of those sins just by that one little piece of paper. And upon seeing that, now he is destined to Jannah, so the Rasul's job is done. He has to go back to help his other ummatis. So he dashes off as the superhero that he is to help his beloved ummah. Now this person, put yourself in his position. When you've just been stood in front of Allah in the chaos of Qiyamah, you don't know what's going on, and suddenly you've been told Jahannam. When someone hears those words, Allah protect us all, you imagine the moment you lose your mind at that moment. He's being dragged, and as it comes in the Quran, people will take their nails and clench them into the ground to try and pull themselves away from the angels who will be dragging them. In that chaos and screaming, you don't know what's going on. Everything's a blur, everything's a motion blur. And in that chaos, all of a sudden, within a second, you're standing in front of a scale, and within 2 seconds, this man who's just come and gone, and you've been told you're going to Jannah. And you're thinking, what? You're ready to go to Jannah, but you're just thinking, what happened? I have no idea what just happened. It's almost like if you've ever been on one of the fastest roller coasters in the world that turns you upside down round, and next thing you know, you're in a different dimension. That's how it feels. And at this moment, he'll turn around and he'll say to the angels, what happened? Why? I want to go to Jannah naturally, but why am I going to Jannah? I didn't have anything. And the angel will say, because that man you saw, he put a piece of paper in your scale, which outweighed all of your sins. So because of that paper, we have no choice but to put you, it's a promise, the one who has good deeds more than bad deeds, Rahmah will be on him and he will go to Jannah. So he's asking, who was that man and what was that paper? So he asked the angels now, who was that man? Can you call him back? So they called the Rasul back because he wants to meet him, and he asked him, who are you? And why do you do this for me? Wow. Now look at this for a moment. He doesn't even know who the Rasul is. And he's just been helped by our beloved Rasul. I don't even know who you are, and yet you helped me. Why? And what did you put on that scale? So the angels will take that scale, that paper, and open it up. And you know what it is? It's Durood Sharif. One Durood Sharif that someone recited. Durood Sharif is a dua. You're asking Allah to bless and give certain things to the Prophet. The Prophet took that dua and said, instead of giving it to me, Allah give it to him. To a person who didn't even know his name, who didn't even know who he was or that he existed. If that person can be benefited from the power of Durood, What will happen to those people who take his name 300 times a day in the blessed month? You imagine the power of that. With this, inshallah, we make dua, we make the intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide me first of all and grant me all of this and everyone listening, all of these beautiful blessings in this blessed day and in this blessed month of Ramadan, and help us make the most of it, accept us to do ibadah and accept from what we do. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah, Sufyaan.